Hello and welcome back to Calradia Expanded at War, and we are currently involved in a slight encounter with someone that vastly outnumbers us. Obviously, I am the aggressor here because I would very much like to eliminate this army before I attempt to take Quyaz. Now bear in mind, Quyaz is currently under the control of the Western Empire, and we may have to deal with their army as well, which is obviously going to be very difficult because the Western Empire seem to be one of the strongest factions in the nearby vicinity of Vlandian territory, so it may very well be a case of, oh yes, you have 2 billion units? Okay, well, I will be running in the opposite direction, you know, it might be that kind of situation. Unfortunately, I am getting murdered by their horse archers, and I mean, that is the point. Azurai, Empire, and the Khuzait, obviously, are very good with their horse archers. I was trying to think about factions and what kind of units they tend to have, but generally the Sturgians obviously have mounted skirmisher units, so they basically use thrown weapons much more than bows and things like that, but generally I would say it goes in a ranking from, like, you know, first place to third place. I would say the best horse archers in the game are probably Khuzait, because they do have noble units that can be horse archers as well, which is obviously a pretty big deal. And then, is it the Empire? Yeah. It might be the Empire, or it might be the Azurai. I think the Azurai and the Empire both share probably second place. I don't really know which one's better in terms of a statistical advantage, but whatever the case, they are very proficient. No matter whether they are good statistically or not, they just generally tend to be quite dangerous to deal with. And yeah, well, I'm just thankful that we're not having to fight that many Battanians at the moment, because the Battanians obviously are on the back foot at the moment, and generally if I do have to fight the Battanians, I don't really want to, because they have such an amazing archery lineup. I mean, they're Battanian Fian champions. If they have any number of those, you're going to feel some pain, which I definitely do not want to feel right now. So hopefully we'll be able to continue our slaughtering of the opponent. It seems like we're doing okay. Unfortunately, the enemy does have quite a few cavalry still remaining, even though I've been doing a pretty decent job of eliminating most of them so far. And let me just get my archers over here. Let's just take care of that guy. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Don't really want to get too close. Oh, that actually reminds me, by the way. Oh, yes. I completely forgot about that. I now have the opportunity, and indeed the ability, to reload my crossbow on horseback. So I can now do these wonderful, wonderful shots with my crossbow, and I can basically get huge amounts of riding skill as a result of that. I mean, just look at the riding skill right there. 5 skill points in riding, and that wasn't even a kill, I don't believe. Yeah, that wasn't even a kill. So generally, look at that. 5 skill points, and I just killed a looter. That was it, just a looter. But yet I was still able to gain a massive amount of skill. It's absolutely fantastic. Really, really nice way to sort of, quote-unquote, power level, you know, power level your skills. And this works for basically any ranged weapon type. So for example, throwing weapons or bows or whatever. Just try to ride as fast as you possibly can, and then try to get headshots if possible, or at the very least try to get kills. Look at that, 10 points in riding skill just for eliminating an Azurai light archer. I mean, really, that's insanity right there. Really, really nice. And now I'm hitting my own forces, because of course, you know, that's what I have to do. That is just the default behavior. It's fantastic, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to just tell my people to charge in here. Let's tell my archers to move forward a little bit. I'm going to continue trying to get crossbow skill as much as I can. Well, seems like I'm not getting very lucky with my hits at this point because there just aren't that many people in the area, and you do, if you're me at least, you do need to have a pretty significant mass of units in a certain area to make them really be the most efficient in terms of getting hit by the crossbow bolts that are no doubt going to be coming forth from my crossbow. Yes. That is the kind of thing that I need, really, to be able to hit some stuff, especially when I'm riding in such a reckless manner most of the time. Anyway, we gained a massive amount of renown right there, and once again, I'm going to be making sure that I don't execute anyone or take anyone prisoner that is part of the main faction, because you never know, maybe they're going to be useful at some point in the future. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you've seen in the past, maybe having good relation is worth it, but on the other hand, sometimes it's really not, because we were talking to someone in the previous episode, and he had a relation with me of about, what was it, minus 17 or something like that? And I thought, oh, he's got minus 17 with me. He's never going to agree to any kind of deal. But he did. Surprisingly enough, he did. So there was really no need for me to worry. Ah, fantastic. We can now finally send a messenger to Servic. Hopefully we're going to be able to speak to him and then trade Kavloniki with him for something else. And I would like to be able to take Tubilis Castle as well. Let's do this. There we go. Ransom that person. And now we can speak to Servic. Hello there, sir. Hello there. All right. So I'd like to get tier if at all possible. Let's see. Yeah. What can I do? Technically, I could give him a castle. I think it might be worth it, you know. Giving him a castle or two might actually be worth it, because if you think about it, a town is worth so much more than a castle. So I'm thinking that maybe that would be a better idea. In other words, which one, though? Ormanfard, Verexand Castle is pretty good. Yeah, you know what? Let's do Ormanfard Castle and Verexand Castle for tier. I mean, I could give him some money. I've got 1.5 million. So theoretically, I could give him quite a bit. I've got, wow, okay, never mind. He literally wants 669,000. Maybe it would be worth it, because then I continue to maintain control over a lot of different fiefs in Vlandian territory. And Ormanfard is on the sort of border, you know, it is on the border between the Vlandian and Batanian territories. So I'm not entirely sure if it's even worth me keeping on to that. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I'm gonna do this. 669,000. I think I can get that back relatively easily, and it's not like I am ever going to be in a situation where I'm going to think to myself, yes, I would very much like to spend 2 million gold for that one fief. You know, I'm always going to do some kind of part exchange, part exchange thing with someone, and I'm gonna trade one of my fiefs and a potential cash sum with that person, and then go on from there, you know, sort of thing. Anyway, the accuracy penalty while shooting crossbows from horseback is halved. I will definitely take that, thank you. And as you can see, look at the amount of riding skill that we gained in that one battle. We literally have now 280. Let's have a look here. Increases your stagger damage threshold by 50%, or increases your mount's armor. Going to increase my mount's armor by 20%, please. Thank you very much. And we also have the ability to now increase our charge damage and maneuver by 1 for each 10 riding skill above 200. Right. I guess that's kind of balanced, right? But I think it should be probably 5 for each 5 riding skill, because the way that it is right now, I have 280, so that means that I have an increased amount of charge damage and maneuver by 8, which, in my opinion, is basically worthless. I feel like 8 additional charge damage, I mean, yeah, sure, you know, if you charge through an entire line of enemy units, and you do, you know, I don't know, 8 plus whatever base damage you already do to each of them, and you do that, what, 10, 15 times if you're lucky, then obviously that's going to add up. But generally, if you're going to be charging one person, it really doesn't make any difference whatsoever. But anyway, I won't complain about it, even though I already have, yes. Okay, so let's actually just take a quick look here. I should probably put one last point in crossbows, right? I already have the maximum perk for riding skill, so it's not like I really need to go any further on that, I don't think. So we're going to go for one more focus point in crossbow and another point in control as well, and hopefully that's going to help us to learn even faster. So we're now going to go into Tubilis Castle. Did I actually sell my prisoners? I don't think I sold my prisoners. I really do want to go into Tubilis Castle though, because the Aserai are starting to get a little bit higher in terms of their war exhaustion, and I would very much like to try and take as many fiefs as possible before we are forced, or before, shall we say, they are forced into making some sort of peace. So I'm going to try and see whether we can make that happen. Obviously, in the previous episode, you saw just how extremely valuable the loot that we currently have in our inventory actually is, which is just hilarious. And there you go. We've just gained another 52,000. Bear in mind, we are going to need to do this because generally I've just spent, you know, almost 700,000 with Mr. Servic. So we'll see what we can do about that. Anyway, this guy is part of a minor faction. I would like to try and eliminate him if at all possible. Generally, I want to try and eliminate as many of the minor factions as I can. And I think that that's actually pretty cool, the fact that we do have birth and death disabled, because now that actually does mean that any single execution we do is going to have a lasting impact on the game world itself, in comparison to before, where if you were going to execute someone, you better be executing as many people as you can get your hands on, if birth and death is enabled, that is, because otherwise, you know, new clans are going to be continuing to pop up, and then you're just going to have enemies upon enemies upon enemies, reinforcements coming in, and it's going to be a very awkward situation. Anyway, let's auto-resolve here. I am going to actually need, pretty badly actually, to go back to Vlandian territory, I think. I will need to go back to Vlandian territory quite soon, because we are going to require reinforcements ourselves. Alright, so we've made our way into Quyaz right here. They only have about 161 units in the garrison, and that is pretty much perfect situation for me, so that we can literally just go straight on in here and have a pretty wonderful time of things. At least I hope so, as I can no doubt tell. Wow, that's a lot of people getting eliminated from our forces right there. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that, but let's just speed things up just so we can get up the ladder. And let's actually... What is going on here? Why are there no enemies to defend this area? Seems like they're not really caring too much about defense. Just going to shoot my crossbow a little bit as well. Seems like there's a bunch of people coming over from the back alleys and things like that. It's kind of strange. Oh, I can't believe I missed that. Really? Alright, so we'll just speed things up real fast, and there we have it. A wonderful victory. And no one managed to escape, or very little people managed to escape right there. So only 2 people managed to make it to the keep, and that means that we don't even need to go into the castle here to eliminate the last remaining survivors. So let's just show mercy. Let's claim the fief, and we'll sell our prisoners and everything. And we can basically just wait here for some time, I suppose. We can just wait here for some time. Now let's actually just take a quick look at Vlandian territory, because I'm thinking to myself, is there any town that we still need to own? Sargeth. Is Sargeth actually the is Sargeth actually Vlandian culture? Or is that Batanian? No, it is a Batanian fief, as you see right there. So that is not even necessary for me to try to gain control over. So let me just take a quick look at the castles then, I suppose. So Hongard Castle is available. Wallaham Castle is also available. And what else do we have here? Senckeberg. Might be a good idea to get Senckeberg potentially. But I'm just thinking about... I'm thinking about Hongard actually. Yeah, okay. Why not? Why not? Let's see who owns Hongard then. Hongard Castle. This guy. Why does he... Wait a minute. Do you see that? Why does he have face paint on? Why does he have face paint on the encyclopedia screen, and then when you click on him, he has no face paint? That is the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. Well, one of the most hilarious. Anyway, yeah, we'll speak to him in just a second, and hopefully we'll be able to trade Quyaz for for Hongard Castle. Maybe he has a bit of cash left over as well, so we might be able to gain a little bit of extra money to sort of, you know, reimburse us or pay us back for the amount of cash that we spent dealing with Servic. But anyway, let's take a look. Alright, Quyaz. Yeah, you're perfectly happy. You have 29,000. Are you serious, sir? You literally only have 29,000. You are a disgrace. Look at your face. Ah, he's smiling at me, so I guess I might as well just say, yeah, sure, go for it. And we gained relation with him, even though I just took every penny that he has. That is pretty funny. Alright. Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so let's go into Tubilis Castle then as well. And maybe I can trade this, you know, maybe I can trade this for another castle in Vlandian territory somewhere. I feel like this is an exceptionally fiendish strategy to have, and it really works very nicely, because obviously, if you think about it, every single one of these fiefs that I'm gaining control over has the same culture that we do, so theoretically, the loyalty is always going to be fantastic. There's really not going to be any issue on that. However, we are now being attacked by an overwhelming amount of, well, minor faction troops. Yeah. This is probably not the best idea for them to do, to be honest. Why? Okay, question. What is going on here? What is going on here? Why are we in a forest in the desert? I mean, to be fair, it does look a little bit like there might be sand underneath some of these things, or it could just be very dry grass. But still, I was just in the desert. I mean, basically, I was in the desert. I mean, I was in Azerai territory. This is very strange. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there are no forests in deserts, right? I mean, maybe there is. I don't know. I'm not very strong on geography, so there you go. Anyway, oh, did I just get murdered? Yes, I almost did. Look at that. That is a fiendish attack. Couldn't even see it coming. Oh well, never mind. Alright, we're going to get our archers into a decent position right here. We're also going to be moving our infantry. And can I maybe do a little bit of damage to some of these guys? Oh, I'm so thankful that my polearm skill is so incredibly high so that I can literally just swing at a moment's notice without having to really worry too much about the timing. Although the timing is paramount. Alright, let's tell everyone to charge in right here. I'm gonna try to switch to my crossbow in just a second as well, because I would like to try and get some crossbow skill. And maybe if I can find the contingent of enemy infantry, I might be able to actually do that. It seems like it's a little bit more difficult than I anticipated, however, because a lot of these people are actually running away. Oh yes, they are actually running away, and they are very close to the boundary of the battlefield as well, so that's actually kind of interesting. I don't know why they would run away, or shall we say, I don't know why they would challenge us and then, you know, run away basically at the same time, basically, as attacking us. It's a bit weird, but okay. If they wanted to do that, then that's all very well and good, but I think they probably could have waited a little bit longer for one other vassal to turn up or something, but as you can no doubt tell, this is very much a victory on our part, and I'm very pleased to say that Amnon has leveled his one-handed skill to almost 300, if you can believe that. That is pretty crazy. But this is going to give me an opportunity to take many of these guys prisoner, and that is exactly what I am going to do. I'm going to take all of these ones prisoner because they are part of a minor faction. Let's execute that one and this one. Oh, I can't execute. What? Wait a minute. I couldn't execute him somehow. That was really weird. I could not click on the execution button. It must be the game maybe sending me a message saying, "Don't execute this guy. He's going to be very important in the future," or something along those lines. But no. Well, it's happened. It's happened now. So let's just get a battering ram up and running as well. And wait a minute. Okay, question. We might want to wait. Is that a good idea? Gonna maybe just get the battering ram done and then we'll possibly go in. Let's just go in right now. I don't really want a chance being attacked by that army right there because they do have a much larger combat strength than we do, so yeah, I wouldn't really like to get into a situation with them. I'd like to take this and then literally just stay in the walls for a little bit until I'm able to return to Vlandian territory, which is exactly what I would like to do, if at all possible. How I would love to have the ability to utilize my crossbow and have the bolt actually penetrate shields. I think I'd probably need a much stronger crossbow to be able to do that. Although, I think someone actually did mention in the comments that the crossbow I currently have is actually the most powerful one in the game. Although, I would need a masterwork one for it to obviously be the maximum, I suppose. I mean, if there is even a masterwork version, because obviously in Warband, there used to be all kinds of different qualities of weapon, and masterwork was usually the best, as far as I remember at least. And it would be great if I could find a masterwork one in this game. I don't know whether that's actually the case though, because I don't think I've seen masterwork be, you know, an actual thing. I'm not sure if it is an actual thing, but whatever the case, let's try and speed things up a little bit here, try and get to where most of the enemies are, and then we can hopefully slay a couple of them. Hello there, sir. Well, it seems like most of them have been taken care of, and we are now done with the siege. Oh yes, very nice indeed. Alright, so I suppose now that we have expanded somewhat considerably into Azerite territory, I'm going to take a look at the war exhaustion, and then we're going to see where we go next, because I am partially thinking that now I am starting to get a little bit weaker in terms of my army strength. It might be signaling me to basically be like, okay, probably a good idea to now just go, you know, just go away, go back to Vlandian territory, try to see what's going on there, try to recruit some more people, maybe see You know, see what's happening, basically. And I am going to try and get Wallaham Castle, if I can. I don't know who owns it. Barricon owns it. So let's send him a messenger. And we'll see what happens. Ormanfard, yeah. So basically, I own every single fief within Vlandian territory, with the exception of Inveth Castle. But I'm actually not entirely sure if Inveth Castle is... No, as you can see, it is not Vlandian culture, so it is not something that we really want to take. However, Senckerberg Castle, which is just over there, might very well be Vlandian. Yes, it is. It is indeed Vlandian. So, in the end, I'm going to speak to Ospia, who has a negative 100 relation with us. I mean, really, he probably does not want to speak to us, let's face it. He really will not want to speak to us, but we are going to force him to speak to us. And, in general, I will try to gain that castle as well. And then I will have pretty much 100% ratio of Vlandian fiefs under my control. And in my opinion, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like that. Anyway, let's have a look. Tubilis Castle. Okay, yeah, we're going to need to give him some extras. Okay, so someone actually mentioned... Okay, I'm going to just demonstrate this real fast because I think I've shown this in a previous series, but maybe you missed it because I think I've only shown this like once or twice just to... demonstrate what's actually going on here. So basically what you suggested was me using my abundant inventory to try and offset the cost of various castles and things in the bartering screen. Alright, well, let me show you real fast. So if I go here and do this, actually let me... Can I just add everything? I mean, yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't really add everything, can you? But I'm just going to generally randomly select some things, and you can see here. I don't know whether you can see, but generally the bar. You see this bar right here? It is not increasing in the least, and that is primarily because. As far as I'm aware, vassals do not care about you giving them random pieces of loot. Yes, okay, they will take notice if it's a smithed weapon. But generally, even then, they are not really going to really care that much. They're just going to be like, oh, a smithed weapon, how fantastic of you, thank you so much. And then they're going to vastly undervalue it. And they'll basically be like, oh, this thing, I could have gotten this back in Praven for half the price. Oh, yes, my cousin has one of those. It only cost him 2,000. And so on, and so on, and so on. And they're basically just going to say that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, they're going to very, very badly underpay you or undervalue that particular thing, whatever it is that you want. You know, want for it. It's not going to work. So that's the main reason why I generally don't tend to use actual items in these barter screens, because I've tried that in the past. And let me tell you, the one time I traded weapons, like smith weapons that were literally worth about 100,000, maybe even 150,000. I can't remember now exactly, but they were worth a lot of money. And I literally traded about 5 or 6 of these weapons to some guy for all of his money. I basically took, I think it was like 80,000 away from the guy. And I thought to myself, this is great. This is fantastic, because that means that I've basically gained a significant amount of cash, and he's not going to be able to do anything with these weapons. And you know what he did then? He literally went to the nearby town, sold all these weapons, and because the AI has no limit to what they are capable of selling, they don't have any gold limit in the actual marketplace. They don't follow the same rules that the player does, you see. So obviously you can tell if they're going with these, you know, smithed weapons that they have valued, you know, for me to trade them with them for about, I don't know, if they're like 10,000 each, even though they are actually 100,000 each. And then literally I went to go and barter with this guy afterwards, and he had 600,000 gold, and he only had about 80 or 100,000 before. So yeah, that's just a little story there about that, and about how the item system works with the AI. Do not trade smithed weapons with these guys. They are going to literally just turn around and flog it to the nearest guy in the marketplace for an exceptional amount of cash. Anyway, 360,000. I'm happy to trade this particular castle for Wallaham Castle, and now I own it. Fantastic. So I basically own every single Vlandian fief with the exception of Senckeberg and Ormenfard. I believe Ormenfard is actually Vlandian. Yes, it is. It is actually Vlandian, but obviously that is not something that I was desperately wanting to get rid of or keep. I don't really care about it that much. Anyway, Ingaltha is seemingly going to try and stop Raingarder's army potentially. What are you doing, Ingaltha? Ingaltha is such an imbecile sometimes. Have you noticed? He literally does not do anything. Oh yeah, okay, so the the faction that I wanted to have take over has collapsed, as you can no doubt tell, and now I need to join a new one. Who is the leader of this one? Heckard. Heckard is doing this. Okay, that's a bit weird. Oh well, never mind. Okay, so this is what's currently going on in the realm as it is at the moment, and I'd like to do a little bit of battling with the Batanians soon. Not entirely sure if that's going to happen, because we currently have a 0% support for declaring war against them. But I guess we'll see. And okay, no. Wow, the Azarai are still looking very healthy indeed. The Western Empire is still looking very good too. And everyone else is looking, well, relatively average. And a bit on the weaker side, most of them. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.